Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we are doing another First Impressions review. Today we're going to be looking at Love and Lies Volume 1. This is written by Musawo, and this is published by Kodansha. This I got digitally, although there are physical copies as far as I know. And the demographic for this is shonen, which is kind of interesting. I thought this was a shoujo. Even when I read it, I was still like, yeah, this seems pretty shoujo-esque. I didn't really think of it as a shonen, but apparently that's what it is. And the singular genre here is romance. There's some elements of other things that you could say that, maybe there's this kind of slight element of dystopia to it, but it really is very minimal. It is just romance and drama that accompanies that, right? So yeah, it does have an adaptation. I think it has an anime, and it also might have a TV show. I'm not exactly sure, but definitely has an anime. So the premise of this story is basically that there's this guy who is called Yukari Nejima, and he's in love with this girl Misaki Takasaki. However, there is a huge issue with this romance, and it's that in the current timeline that they live in, which is kind of slightly alternate from our world, Japan has this law, which is called the Yutari law, or the Yutari method, or something like that, which basically means that the government has all of the necessary information for each person in order to decide who is their optimal marriage partner. And this is due in part to like the failing or the falling birth rates of Japan, but also as a way for the government to try to make sure that everyone does their like duty to marry other people. And it's a very interesting idea. However, it only is there to push along the plot line to the point where it's interesting, right? So, I mean, it's important in that it's a very big plot point, but however, that Yutari law thing doesn't really end up being anything beyond that for this first volume. So, he's in love with this girl, Misaki Takasaki, and he decides to confess to her because very soon in the two days after the beginning of the story, he's gonna get the information that he needs for his what's it called, to know who his assigned partner is, right? And so he confesses, and it turns out that Misaki also likes him, and she confesses back, and then eventually they get together and meet up in a park and have a romantic first kiss, and this kind of moment of complete openness with each other where they just talk to each other about all the things that they like about the other, right? And then it strikes midnight, whatever, and he gets his assigned partner, and he initially opens his phone and sees that his assigned partner is the girl that he likes, Misaki Takasaki, However, immediately after, two government agents show up and tell him, hey, here is the paper that tells you who your partner is. And it turns out that his partner is a different person who happens to be this girl called Lina Sanada. So now there's this kind of element of thriller there. There's kind of element of like underground conspiracy feeling that really doesn't come up again in the first volume, but might come up later. But what follows is that he meets this girl, Lilina, and he has kind of a rough start with her. And then eventually they kind of become friends, and she listens to him talk about the romance and the kind of feelings of love that he has for Misaki Takasaki. And so she decides to help him develop his relationship with her. And it's really weird because then there's this other character who happens to be a guy who then seems to also want to be with Yukari Nejima. So apparently he's a really popular guy, even though he's kind of a very normal loser type of person. And nothing really gets explained. I don't know if I was reading it like with dumb mode activated or what, but I really felt like I didn't understand anything that was happening because it didn't really feel connected. Like one scene to the next felt like there was like information missing from like the two scenes, and so it didn't feel like it was flowing correctly. However, by the end of it, I was actually pretty interested. However, I don't feel that I'm gonna read another one of these volumes because I don't see where this can go. Like, is a really weird story. It's interesting. It has interesting elements. Basically, Yukari and Leilina have to get married at some point because that's like the law that they have to follow. But Leilina seems to be allowing him to have, his romantic relationship with Misaki. So technically it's not a harem. They're kind of like polyamorous, which I think is interesting. I don't know too much about that type of stuff, but it seems like an interesting concept that maybe should be explored more because it seems interesting. And then there's this, third-party guy that wants to get with Yukari as well, at least from the few scenes that we see of them together. And then there's this government agency that's trying to, do something, and maybe it's not really as good as everyone seems to think it is. And it's just really weird. Like, it feels like there's a lot of stuff going on that I just don't really understand. And so even though I didn't dislike it, and in fact, by the end of it, I was kind of interested, I didn't really develop enough of an interest to read the next volume, but also didn't really find that any of it made sense to me. Like, it felt like the author just threw a bunch of stuff together, blended it up, and then kind of came up with a story. And, maybe sometimes that works, right? But in this case, I don't feel that it was really compelling enough just yet. However, there's only 11 volumes. If I manage to get them low priced or on sale or whatever, I might pick up another one. But I mean, I don't know, it's a really odd one. Most of these first volumes really don't catch my attention all that much, and the few that do really just like sweep me up and really take me somewhere else different, and this one just didn't really manage to do that. However, I will say that the art style in this is great. I love it. It does have kind of a vague shoujo-esque feeling. However, it is mostly very similar to the kind of cool shonen seinen type series that we get here, like Rent a Girlfriend or My Dress Up Darling. It does kind of have that kind of feel, but it is a little bit more refined than either of those, so it's kind of interesting. However, I really like it. I think the female character design is great, the male character design is fun, and there's a really good balance that the mangaka has between having them have serious situations and having them have comedic situations, and the art style brings it all together by making clear distinctions that still manage to convey very strong emotions. So I think overall it's cool, it's interesting. I just don't understand what the story is trying to tell me. Like, what is the point of it? And there wasn't any like huge magic like hook at the end of the first volume that really made me want to pick up more. So that's all there is to say about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. And thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.